Welcome back, heroes. I'm Simone.
And I'm Kev.
And welcome to The Hero Within. Yes. And this is part 2 of Hustling for Your Dream.
The hustle is real.
Yes. So let's get straight into it. What kind of emotions or issues do you have, or what kind of stress do you have in your life due to your pathway?
That will be patience, which is something I've always had to work on generally. Relationship issues, like I mentioned in part 1. And comparing my current situation to others in the voice acting field.
That is always tough.
Indeed.
Comparison is evil.
Yep, and it's inevitable. How about you?
This is true. Well, I have a few things I always have to work through in life. One of them is self-care. These are issues that I talked about a little bit in part 1, not exercising enough to relieve the stress, not making sure, I'm getting better with the diet thing, so that's good. I'm getting back on track.
Nice.
And I'm trying to do that a little bit better. It's tempting at work because there's a lot of bad food, junk food at work, at the snack bar, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
Another thing I kind of run into a lot is patience, because it does take patience to grow anything in life. That's why I said 10 years is probably the average for a lot of people. And I don't think you really see any results till you're 5 or 6, really. So it's kind of like almost like the bamboo story, where you grow a bamboo, you keep watering it, and it takes like 5 years before it springs up. So you're growing, you're watering the plant and everything, and underneath the plant, it's growing like all these balls of roots. So during that time, it looks like the plant is not even growing. And you're just like, what the heck? But in 5 years, that plant will just shoot up like multiple feet all of a sudden, overnight. And that's kind of like what this is right now, is the patience to keep watering the plant for the shoot up overnight. So that's the hard part. Another thing I have to worry about too is depression. So I do take medication for depression, and it sometimes is hard to keep up, and when I'm stressed out and everything, that kind of comes up a little bit more often. So I try to manage that with my stress every day.
Good.
And the last thing is, there's definitely issues in my life too. Sometimes I have relationship issues, even though I have a pretty good relationship. Every now and then I worry about that. Am I doing good enough? Is something gonna happen? I get a little bit concerned. I have a little bit of self-doubt of myself here and there, like, am I gonna make it? That's tough sometimes. And, I do have family issues that kind of been running in my life recently. I try to ignore them, but sometimes they get me down. The last really big thing for me is the pressure to succeed. So I put this undue pressure on myself, unfortunately, and that's the reason why is because I'm an only child. And I'm kind of like the last in line in the family, so to me, I feel I owe a debt to my parents to succeed as much as possible, because they put in so much work and effort and money into me. So that tends to be something that I put on myself to make sure that their only child is successful, so that way they can feel like they did the right thing.
I think that's a bit unfair on you. You don't owe them anything in that regard, personally speaking, in my opinion, but that's how you feel, and
yeah.
I wish you luck.
I know, right? It is undue pressure on myself, but that's something that I think about often, is making sure that they see that I'm okay, that I'm doing really well, and that, they did well. I guess it's a family legacy bullshit thing. I don't know.
I see. All right, what are some of your fears, Simone?
Oh, I have so many of those.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, one of my fears is definitely not being able to work full-time on my dream. Because as we know right now, I work a full-time job, and I think sometimes you think about this too when you're looking for your own job as well, right? Will I get stuck just doing this job and never getting out of it? Working a dead-end job, working a job that I really, it's okay, but I'm not extremely passionate about, and that I will never get out of the comfortable money cycle that exists, right? So that's kind of why I'm building my income right now, so that way I can eventually move on from that. But it gets really hard, because there's some days where I have a really hard day and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And luckily I get talked off the ledge every time, but it's just really hard. I'm worried about that I'll never succeed. I'm worried about that all my efforts, either in this channel or in acting or in writing, are for nothing. I get worried about, that I will become a loser. That's like I said, before, I put undue pressure on myself to succeed in a certain way. And if I don't succeed, what is left for me then? I mean, this is the question I need to answer. It's really important to answer these questions like that. Are you going to be okay if you fail? Where would you go? What is your next plan if you fail? And just because you fail once doesn't mean you'll fail again. Because you learn a lot from failing. You learn a lot from your first experiences. However, I'm always determined to make sure it works. And my fears are just becoming a loser with a job that I hate, that I'll never get out of, and I will stop being creative, which is really hard.
I think personally, if you decide to succeed for yourself rather than for your parents, that would alleviate some pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
Life. So that's just my thoughts.
That's true. What about you?
So my fears are, I won't succeed in what I do, and I'll be stuck in yet another shitty job and be part of that cycle or whatever. Just things, similar to you. And I guess like the main thing I don't want to happen is me to go back in the military out of desperation. I'm good on that shit. That's behind me for a reason. I don't want to shape the beard just yet. So yeah, those are my fears. We'll see what happens. All I can do is keep going.
So the next question is, how do you cope with the stresses of the hustle?
Yeah, there's a few things I do to, stay on my hustle shit. One of them is working out daily. You know what I'm saying? Gonna keep this up. Gotta stay sexy, gotta stay strong for myself. Also, I talk to my older brother, all my friends back on the East Coast, and my family as well, all the rest of them on the East Coast. I try to talk to them, monthly, that helps. And remember the thing I mentioned before, the lie I tell myself to get up in the morning in terms of this channel helping people? That's what I tell myself too.
Hey, you're helping somebody.
That's why I quoted it. That's why I quoted it.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it's necessarily true, but that's why I tell myself anyway.
Yes.
How about yourself?
So, how do I cope with the stresses of the hustle? I fall apart. I'm just kidding. That's one of that's one of the things I do. If I stress out too much or I go too far, I do tend to crash and burn. What I like to they're called Simone breaks because they're really just crashing and burning.
I see.
Those are great. I just try to control what I can in life, what I can control. So I try to do my best to control the aspects of my life that I can control, and what I can't control, I try as hard as I can to let go. Or I try to research it. I try to learn as much as I can. It's like, is there something I'm doing wrong? Let's try to find out. Another thing is just tenacity, not giving up. I'm extremely stubborn, so when I really want something, I usually tend to get it. Somehow. It's kind of like I'm gonna go into a basic training story about tenacity.
Oh, story time.
Story time. So, when I was in basic training in the military, it was like, we had to do this obstacle course in the middle of the day, and it was like really exhausting. You had to go with a buddy, blah, 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 and keep running through this course with your gun and everything, your fake gun. And then we get up to this hill, and they're like, you need to low crawl. I'm like, what? Low crawl up this hill. Now, this hill wasn't really that big. And if you hike this hill, it would probably, I think it'd be like maybe less than a quarter of a mile or something like that. I don't like low crawling. It's a lot of effort because you really have to get your face on the ground, and you have to basically crawl with one arm while having your gun in the other. It's just really annoying. Yeah. And so I was going up this hill, and it was really exhausting to low crawl up this hill. And at one point, I was just stuck. My brain was like, screw this noise. I don't want to do this anymore. You're too tired. Just quit. Just die on the hill. And there's people behind me going, come on, you can do it. You can do it. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. And they're like, come on. And I'm like, okay. There's people annoying me in the back. I'm holding up the line. I need to get up this hill. So even though I was dead exhausted, I still just pushed myself up the hill. And I kept pushing myself up the hill. And somewhere along the line, I caught a second wind. I don't know if it was just delusion or what, or it really was a second wind, but I just kept going up the hill. I low crawled all the way up, and eventually I got up the hill to base camp, where we had to go build our own tents. But
then the moral of the story is?
The moral of the story is that Even when you're down, exhausted, and feel like you're defeated, if you just keep going, somewhere along the line, you're gonna catch a second wind or you're gonna catch a break.
Message.
Also, what I tend to do is keep telling myself that during the hard days when I'm in my job, that the situation is temporary, that eventually I'm gonna get to the places I need to go, and that helps me keep going. Another thing I tend to do to inspire myself is I look up luxury items, just for fun. You know, nice houses, Teslas, because I really want a Tesla.
She does.
Yeah, that's like my ultimate dream. Is like if I got a Tesla, I made it. You know, you know, just things I would like to have in the future. I mean, I even, you know, I want a Doberman. I want a dog in the future. And right now, I don't have a time for one or to dedicate to one. So there's a lot of things that I tend to look up to just kind of say, you know, someday this is where I'm going to be at. Another thing I also do is I tend to meditate. I've been doing that a lot recently, especially right before work. I tend to get to work really early, and before I walk in, I have enough time to meditate for about 10-15 minutes in my car. Sometimes I meditate when I get home just to kind of reduce the stress. I'm trying to really take care of that stress now.
Good.
As well as just try to take care of myself and my diet and tell myself I'm not normal. So about that, ever since I was a kid, I always was told I was weird, no matter what. And I am weird. There's a lot of weird things about me. However, because I am weird and different, that is what's going to be the difference between me and everybody else.
Are there any tough decisions that you've made or that you anticipate making in the future?
Yes. So one of the decisions I made was to go against my parents' wishes and get out of the Air Force. Sometimes in life you gotta rock the boat a little bit. I mean, your parents feel that they know what's best for you, and it was a very safe job. However, it just wasn't me anymore, and I outgrew it. So, you know, I moved on. The second thing is changing directions. So sometimes in life you have to change directions. You have to go left to go right. In this case, you know, I was starting my acting career, and I actually got into a few things. However, I realized that I was running out of money, and I needed a job. And so I got a job. Right now I'm on the left path and I'm trying to get back on the right, but sometimes you have to stay on that path for a while before you get to where you need to go, because life isn't a straight line. You're just a lot of different things that happen.
Zigzag.
All the time for you to get to the same place. So there's not one path.
True.
Another thing is about reducing the amount of fun or leisure time in my life. So that's really hard for me because I had a lot more leisure time or just time just to do anything I want, like play games and go out to movies all the time and watch all these TV shows and everything. And I've reduced most of that quite a bit. You know, I still watch TV shows, but a lot of times I'm really behind. Unless it's Game of Thrones, and I finished that one.
No comment. Actually, no. Last season was trash. That's all I'm gonna say.
It was not as great as I hoped.
But yeah, moving on.
But yeah, so I had to reduce my video game play. I had to reduce going out to the movies a lot. I had to reduce all of that, and I had to stick to the plan, because the more I work and the more I, you know, get better at the things I do, and the more I learn, the more likely I'm going to get up there. And I don't want to feel that I didn't do everything I could to push. So that's my issue. So what about you?
I mean, going back to the military thing, me getting out wasn't tough at all. I was very vocal about it for a long time with everyone. Everyone in my fucking office knew I was getting out. You know, most people encourage me. Some people were like, are you sure it's a safe job? I'm like, yeah, but I don't like it though, so I'm gonna go for my shit. And I did. So I can't really say I can't really anticipate tough decisions now, so it's we'll wait and see. Cross that bridge when it's meant to be crossed.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot one more thing.
Oh, did you now?
Yes, future decisions. My future decision that I have to do is eventually, you know, quit my job and go for this full time. So that's like a thing I think about a lot. It's a hard decision.
In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it! Lightning fingers.
Of course. Okay, so the last thing for today is tips for you dreamers.
For all the dreamers out there.
Hell yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna paraphrase my boy Mark Manson. So he notices that pain is the universal constant of life, right? And so he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, if we're going to suffer by simply existing, then we might as well learn how to suffer well. And I fucking love that quote. It's actually in his new book, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. But yeah, so check this out too. Not only is existing suffering by itself, but before your dreams of suffering, during your dreams of suffering, and after your dreams is also suffering. You're gonna suffer no matter what. So you might as well just suffer well. Embrace the suffering. That's it.
Sounds very Buddhist-like.
I agree.
Yeah.
So how about yourself?
Well, so I have a few tips. One of them is it's always going to take longer than you ever expect. So if you think it's going to take you a year, it's most likely going to take you 3 to 4 years. So always expect it to take at least 2 to 3 times as long as you think it's going to take. So that's one of the things that I have learned over time. Another thing I always think about is the only way to get better is to fail faster and fail better. You're gonna make mistakes no matter what, and you're gonna fail at things, so you might as well get it over with. Do what you can, just go do the things and then learn quickly. So that way you can move on and do better things. Take care of yourself now and always, because if the better you take care of yourself, the more you can keep dealing with the suffering.
True.
My mom used to say, either pay now or pay later, but at some point you're going to pay. So either you do all the work now and you reap some of the benefits later, or you play around now and you suffer later because you didn't do any of the work. So that's pretty much what that means. And indecision is not a choice. So either you shit or you get off the pot, but you make the choice. Either you do it or you don't do it, but don't complain about it, just do it. Another thing you need to think about as well is learning everything about your industry that you're going into, the good and especially the bad. When I started going to writing classes, our instructor talked about all the bad things that we may encounter, and I loved him for that because I needed to hear that. I needed to hear how hard it was to get into the publishing industry. I needed to hear all the problems that you can run into. I need to hear that so that way I can accept these problems I'm going to run into and maybe even learn from them, from other people. The last thing I really want to emphasize is don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something or that you shouldn't do something. If you really believe that you can do it, go do it. However, if they know a better way of doing it, you should listen. If there are better tips on how to get there, listen and consider. You don't have to take it, but listen and consider. Just don't let someone say you can't do something because you totally can. It's just up to you. You're the choice maker, you're the decision maker, and that's what matters. All right, heroes, that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching, and please let us know what your dreams are. What are you struggling with?
Maybe we can help you out.
Exactly.
Let us know in the comments below.
Exactly. Also, just letting you know, we're all in this together.
Aww.
And we really want you to be part of our Hero Nation. This is why we kind of opened up a little more to tell you a little more about us. And we really appreciate you listening.
We do.
So please join us.
Yes, join the Hero Nation.
Exactly, and let's make the world a better place.
Ooh, let's do it.
Also, if you enjoy our content,
you already know, man. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
Yes.
All right?
Bam.
Let's do this shit.
And hit the notification bell so you know when our next awesome video is coming up.
Ring, 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 ring.
And make sure to continue to gain knowledge.
Take action.
And be unstoppable. Yeah.